Common sense tells us that being with community will be good for us, for our productivity, for our sense of balance. Can we make that possible in today's work environments? Let's find out with Dhara Mehta. But first, don't forget to subscribe. And while you do, remember to ding the bell so that you receive the invitations to each and every premiere coming on this channel. Hey viewers, welcome to Three Questions. And today we've got with us Dhara Mehta. Dhara is a trainer, dance therapy practitioner, and a choreographer. She's also the founder of the Opposable Thumb, and she was once an architect when she trained. It's completely amazes me how somebody can have such diverse interests, all in the creative field though, of course, but can make a very beautiful business out of them. Dhara, my first question to you is, how can anybody follow their passion and make a business out of it? How do you do it? How could you inspire others?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. I think it's very important to understand that these are two very different things. And if you love your passion so much, that is the only way you can ever walk that distance and make it a business, because it takes a lot, as all of us know, to make anything a business. Because there are just so many things to understand apart from loving your passion and doing the right things for it, apart from nurturing this baby. If you need to give it a direction, there is just so much that you need to learn, and only if you're hungry and willing to take that that journey, which includes a lot of failures, a lot of setbacks, a lot of difficult times, uh, involves you to break your idea of everything and keep bouncing back up. Only then you create a possibility of making a business out of it, to make something sustainable, viable, that gives you a regular income. And you also need that regular income, even if it's a side gig, because the baby needs to feed itself, right, after a point. I think for every human being, we just want to self-actualize, right? By birth, we always want to do the best, what is best for us. We always want to self-actualize, so that hunger is always there. But we all have different degrees of where we want to, up to what extent can we break our barriers and realize our true potential. Everyone has their own unique capacities or wishes or intentions towards that. So to each their own, no judgment to that. But when I use the word hunger, I say that, I'm ready to leave my current lifestyle and do everything that is needed to make this child come to life. That is the hunger that I'm referring to, where you're willing to break a lot of barriers, or break out of your comfort zone in a big way to achieve what you want to. It's not possible for everyone, because we have liabilities and dependencies, and to each their own. But sometimes when I got done with architecture, and since I had found that thing that meant so much to me, I knew I wanted to do something about it. And even after getting a stable job and a good income, at least what I felt was good, uh, I my day didn't make sense if I wasn't training, if I wasn't dancing, and if it was so valuable for me, if my day didn't make sense, if I was not rehearsing today, why was I living through that day? Didn't make sense. Then I felt that this is worth the walk. This is worth taking that journey wherever it takes me. At least it's in the direction of fulfillment, and that was my core purpose. So I think that is how I could answer that. That is where I realized that this hunger needs to be satiated in some way. Even if it's not financially for now, it needs to find fruition in this world.
That's absolutely excellent. That is, the word you used there, purpose, suddenly clicked in my mind. It just put it together. That this is not a hunger for money. This is not a hunger for anything except finding your purpose. And when you're working on purpose, that passion comes in automatically. In fact, passion and purpose are kind of interrelated. And that's what would fuel anybody. And this is so relevant in these times, Dhara, because there are so many people who are either out of job, or who are working on a lesser salary or who are working on more flexible timings, and they probably obviously feeling a little underutilized or a little incapacitated. And in a time like this, find your purpose, find your hunger, and get
Yeah.
out of your comfort zone, because that can result in something like you. What an inspiration. And what I really loved about what you were doing was it was not just dance for dance sake. It was dance therapy, which means that you are actually helping people get better. I don't really understand entirely how that would work, even though being a Qigong practitioner, I kind of integrate movements with mindfulness and meditative awareness, which is dance. But I would like you to expand a little on this, because I also see on your website that there's huge, the loads of beautiful company logos out there who are clients of yours. And how do companies actually benefit from what you do?
Right. See, all of us have dominant movement patterns, right? Whether you, if you've noticed that, we all have certain dominant patterns
Yeah.
physically, and that is also a reflection of certain dominant patterns in the way we think. When it comes to decision making, when it comes to problem solving, creative thinking, we all come from certain patterns. We have certain set patterns that we may have picked up early on, education, family, environment, etc. So the idea is to use something as physical and visible as the body to have a deeper understanding of your dominant patterns, and then what is it that you'd like to do with it, right? I'll give you another example of this. We all need to be good communicators, which is good negotiators, and we also need to be assertive or aggressive sometimes based on the situation. But if I can only express myself in the assertive, dominating section, and I don't have access to negotiation within myself, which
Hmm.
means that my patterns revolve only around here, be it physical or let's say mental, emotional. Now, what someone with dance movement therapy would do is they would identify your dominant patterns in movement, and then they would help you explore the entire spectrum, so that now you have access to all the entire range of communication, and so you're
Mm-hmm.
better empowered to choose what to do in which situation, because now you have that experience in your system, right? which
Right.
which before this was the only way you could express, and you want to open up that spectrum of expression.
Right.
So this is one way. There are many ways that I can explain this, but this is one way that I thought would ideally sit in this conversation. Secondly, how would corporates benefit from this? Another explanation to this is that pre-tech, pre-IT world, I
Mm-hmm.
think we used a lot of body in our work, right? Even in terms of stepping out, we didn't have
Right.
the luxury of cars as much as we have now, and so on, right? The kind of access we have at our fingertips, we don't need to use so much of our body. But the
Right.
thing is, and this is how I look at it, is that since everything is so limited in our movement, like we are so technologically advanced, but we also need to advance in terms of the body, right? We can't leave it aside. It needs to also develop
Right.
with time. And so now we need to remove special time and dedicate more time to make sure that we are still in connection, in congruence with the body. We are still engaged in the body, right?
Mm.
Because it can't be like uh, it can't be a passive element of our lifestyle. It has to be a very engaging and alive element, right?
Absolutely.
And
We're in it.
why should it be engaging and alive is because it is part of your process. It is part of your mind, it is part of your thinking patterns. Your awareness guides so much of your decisions, right? If I wasn't aware, I would be, as an entrepreneur, I would be making the same decisions because that's the only thing I know. But if I was
Correct.
aware that this is a pattern, or this is how I approach every situation that comes to me, I approach that in the same way. And that is why certain situations don't work out in my favor, because they needed to be tackled differently. So
Mm.
awareness does so much in terms of what you eat, how you eat, your lifestyle, everything. So how can body not be part of our everyday engagement or a very alive element of our life? So with
Correct.
corporates, I feel that since it's so passive, and also the temperatures that we live in, the temperatures are so much lower that the body is not warm enough and it's not supple. Why do we do warm up? Is to make the body alive and warm. If it's going to be continuously cold, it becoming passive, right? It won't have the same urja, like you say, for
Hmm.
digestion and just for natural energy to flow. So for those reasons, I think working with the body and mind is very essential for most of our corporate environments today.
Yeah, I can see that. I can very clearly see that if we are looking at this from an organizational point of view, then that alignment of body, mind, and spirit is what is, like you said, driving our ability to negotiate, driving our ability to be multifaceted, our ability to build better relationships, and to introspect without judgment, and of course to connect our body, stop making it as sedentary as it is, and have that interaction, which is so very necessary in this technology driven world today, and more so now with the work from home.
Right.
So administering these things at a corporate level on a sustained basis so that people get a hang of it, they actually form circles of community that can do these things together,
Right.
is probably the least that the executive managements can do for their teams in these times, because that's how you align the spirit of the organization.
Most definitely, this is very much part of the organizational culture. But to take it back, traditionally we always used art and all these practices at a very community level, and they were very
Yeah.
consistent to and subject to a certain community that would practice it on an everyday, because it does have social elements to it. Like you said,
Right.
community is a beautiful word because we all come together and find this same purpose to engage and create this beautiful energy together that helps us heal in so many ways. It helps us align to one another in so many ways.
In fact, that is my third question to you, Dara. How exactly does this help us heal?
Great. So, like I said, body is a very strong part of who we are, and a lot of times, what is noticed is that the body holds patterns, like I was saying, and a lot of trauma is also held in the body. A lot of things that get held in the body, and which is why there is this term called as psychosomatic disorders, which is such a rage because we're not looking at the roots of it, but we are finding that manifest as a disease in our system, as a physical symptom in our system. So what any body mind practice or a healing practice or an energy practice like what you do is really about engaging with the body and mind to really get into the trauma in a safe environment, in a safe space, to kind of open it up and let it heal in a safe environment. With the guidance of a right teacher or facilitator, we are able to then get slowly heal out of that in a very healthy and sustainable manner at our own pace, and let that go and let that not re-manifest itself, because there is this whole thing about if you don't learn a lesson you learn it again, like the challenge comes at you because it's cyclical in that nature. So to
Right.
break that cycle, and so that it doesn't happen again, and so that you've really healed out of it in a healthy manner, it's working with the body is so essential, working with the energy is so essential. That is how I see the healing element of this.
Totally. You are reminding me of a quote from Albert Einstein, because he's probably the first scientist who proved the omnipresence of energy. And what he said was that you cannot solve any problem by thinking at the same level
Right,
that created the problem.
right,
So, if we look at the trinity of body, mind, spirit, then a body problem we can solve with the mind. And that's what psychotherapy and affirmations and meditation, yoga, and stuff like that are about. But if you have a mental or an emotional problem, which are what's coming more to the surface now, then, like you rightly said, they manifest in the body in symptoms which, like depression, would change the body language. And now, as a manager or a leader of an organization, what is expected is one should be able to know that and create a sort of confidant group, so that you don't talk about absenteeism or sickness or the change of body language, but rather you look at it as an underlying mental or emotional factor that's going in. And the third level is energy, which is where, like you said, I work. That is where we are looking at the spirit level. So the spirit level solutions are not understood by science really, because
Yeah.
it's just that much more subtle. But working with qigong is where you're able to change the mental and emotional states. And that's why I've drawn up the stress matrix, where managers are able to identify exactly where people lie in which of these states, and how to get that into alignment of body, mind, and spirit, in which dance therapy would play a fantastic role, because it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of movement, and it's something that can be done in community. I look forward to a lot of people who are watching this now to really start rethinking of the jogging and exercising and gymming and stuff like that, because that's just body level work. Integrate that with the mind, integrate that with the energy,
Right.
and change things around for you and your people.
Right. And like you said, you keep mentioning about like community support. You keep talking about that, which I think as a culture we always grew up that way, right? We always there was a cultural element of togetherness at all times, even if it didn't mean being in the same family. And I think the social nature of who we are misses that. And if the organization can support that, maybe we can you know not have to face so many individual issues, where we are all there to support each other. We can come out of it faster. We can develop a beautiful core value together and make a community of our own, which can be of support to one another at all levels, like you mentioned, because our
Bang on.
emotionality and mentality are not very far from who we are. Our social factors are not very far from who we are.
Absolutely. And think of what that would do to your productivity and bottom line. So that's a lot to think about. And before I let you go, don't forget the LCSS. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to this video. And while you're at it, click on the ding the bell so that you get the notifications for the next premiere. See you around then. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks, Dara.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.